Welcome back to the Resistance Broadcast. I'm John Hoey. Thanks so much for joining us today. It is Thursday. It is September 27th. If you're listening to this when we're premiering the episode, we are bringing back an old favorite segment called Is the Force With You this week, taking a break from The Will of the Force, and we have a pretty awesome discussion on the future, potential future, of Obi-Wan Kenobi. And no, we're not necessarily talking about that rumored spin-off movie. We also, of course, have your tweets and Resistance transmissions, so keep listening to see if yours made it on this episode. Joining me today, as always, we got the crew. It's James Bainey and Lacey Gillerin. What's going on?
I just want to know what Lacey thinks about Is the Force With You. Has she actually ever done an Is the Force With You?
Yeah, I used to read it, James.
No, Is the Force With You and not The Will of the Force?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. Which do you prefer?
Will of the Force.
But we're going to bring it back for old school sake.
Okay.
She said okay.
How you guys doing today? You guys feeling good? You got your physical copies of Solo now?
Oh my
You
God.
got them unwrapped?
Yes.
Checking them out?
So excited. I watched it yesterday on the plane coming back from New Orleans. Now I'm going to watch it again.
Can I tell you that I did it again, I immediately just barrel through all of the special features before I go back and watch the movie.
I always do that first, too.
I am a big special features guy. Like, I even, in sometimes in my free time, which I have less of now because J5 is here.
We get it, you have a baby.
I have a baby. He's a baby. I go on YouTube and I look up old interviews with George Lucas. Like, I love doing that stuff.
Sweet dog.
Are you sweet dog? Are you a Blu-ray guy, James? I know you've been back and forth with that.
I just decided that I don't necessarily need to see the movie in the week and a half or 2 week span. So I just decided to hold out for the Blu-ray as well because I guess. The other thing too is we decided that we weren't really going to talk about the special features and stuff until we really got it. We'll talk about that in the news section or whatever. So there was no point in me having it ahead of the game anyway. So
I got the Target 4K with the art book.
See, I went Steelbook. That's why I didn't see you at Best Buy. Unbelievable. Nope. So if people downloaded just the digital version, does that come in 4K quality or no? Is it just Blu-ray quality? How's that go?
No, I don't think it's 4K. I think 4K is.
No, it's 4K.
You have to buy it.
Nope.
Oh, it is 4K.
Yeah.
Oh.
Interesting.
Lame.
All right. Well, we have Solo, but like James said, we'll talk more in detail about what we think about the special features probably on Monday. I think Monday. But for now, we're bringing back an old favorite, a segment that we call Is the Force With You? And it's a little bit different, and I'll let James explain what we're doing here right now. What's up, man?
The Force will be with you, always.
Well, what's up? We're doing Is the Force With You. Woo, it's back. It's back. Yeah, so it's been a while since we've done this. If you're new to the show, Is the Force With You is kind of our yes or no, our buy or sell. And we used to do a bunch of different topics, but we kind of just decided that it made more sense to do one topic, Is the Force With You or not? And that way we can take a little time to explain why the Force is not with us. But the idea is the Force with you? I'm down with this. Or is the Force with you? The Force is not with me. I'm not really interested in this. So let's get onto this topic. Let's go. So, after Return of the Jedi, you guys have seen it. In 1983, Star Wars took a 16-year hiatus, returning in 1999 with the prequel trilogy. We were all there. After 2005's Revenge of the Sith, saw that, Star Wars was deemed finished, aside from 2008's The Clone Wars, but it was revived with the sale of Disney in 2012, which led to its return in 2015 with The Force Awakens, 10 years after The Revenge of the Sith. We were all there. Star Wars movies have had 2 extensive decades in between the breaks. It took the world by storm in 1977, but it's been a long time since we've got them, in between. Does Star Wars need these hiatuses to make the movies feel special? While it likely won't happen, Star Wars movies should take a minimum 5-year film hiatus at some point in the future is the Force with you? So that's the question that we're asking. Of a 5-year minimum, like, blanket rule that the Star Wars movies have to follow, of like, we got to get people to feel like that's done, and then it'll be back later, let it all sink in, and then bring it back in with excitement to get back into these movies instead of pulling into that fatigue, if you will. So since John's more of a veteran, let's start with him. John, what do you think?
Okay, so I'm going to say I'm so torn on this because I want movies to talk about and see and stuff, but I want to say the Force is with me on this. I think it would help. I really, really do. Fandom, just like a reset and like a get away from it for a while. It's kind of like absence makes the heart grow fonder, that old adage. But knowing that we have so many confirmed movies coming, I know it's not going to happen anytime soon. Now, if they ever did, and after the Rian Johnson stuff and the Game of Thrones guys, and they took a 5-7 year break, and all of a sudden, like, you just see something come up saying like episode 10 or something, like, people would lose their mind, right? So it's possible, and whatever that may be after a break, it would spark freshness and newness and get that old feeling again that we've all felt when we heard that episode 7 was coming. I'll never forget hearing about that. And how they could pull that off is still churning stuff out on the streaming service side, still doing TV shows, animated shows, leaving the theatrical big juggernaut movies dormant for a little while. So I think that's the one way they could pull that off. So that's the only reason why I'll say the Force is with me. Lacey, what do you think?
So I'm going to say the complete opposite of you, and I'm going to say no, the Force is not with me. I want movies all the time, and I'll watch them till they stop making them. With the small caveat that I think they should delay this. If they're going to do more saga films, they should delay those. Like, I'm cool if the sagas come 5 to 10 years from now as like a surprise, surprise, we're making more saga films. But the side things, no. Keep making them. We have tons of Marvel movies in the past 10 years. No one is sick of Marvel. I mean, look at Captain Marvel. This past week and a half has been nuts with her. No, that's absolutely true. Not. The Force is not with me. Keep making Star Wars films. I'll keep watching them. I'll keep talking about them and obsessing about them. And if they stop making them, then I have nothing to talk about, and then I'm boring. So, yeah. No.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Lacey. Well, I think you're right, John. I think that it could work, and I think even taking longer breaks might even hype people up more. I think that span is a perfect span for people to have kids, you know what I mean? And then their kids are starting to maybe be interested in Star Wars, and then boom, there's new Star Wars. Okay, cool, we can share. I think that stuff is interesting, but I think the only reason those things took so long in the past is that it was up to like one person, and he wasn't interested in doing that stuff. If it was up to any money-making entity in the world, they would be like, no, we're just gonna keep doing this until Right. It makes more sense to let me put it this way. It makes less sense to make $1 billion today and also $1 billion in 10 years from now than it does to make like $1 million every year, you know what I mean, up until that point, or what, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, if you're going to make the same amount of money, you might as well make it incrementally and know that you have that as like a regular thing that makes money. So I think that's the business plan that they're doing. They're not so much worried about how fans feel about it. As long as they're willing to come back for another one, then they're happy with that. And that's the result that it's going to be at. Now here, let me ask you this, Sean. Let me turn it real quick on you. What is your like maximum amount of years that you would still say the Force is with me? If it was 50 years, you would say no, right? So where's the line in the sand?
50 years is too long.
Yeah, I pulled that because it's crazy.
Yeah,
I might be dead in 50 years.
Yeah, I might be dead in 50 years. Yeah. Well, that's dark. Jeez.
I mean, it's just a fact. We're all going to die eventually, am I right? If you're Chewie, you're going to die in episode 9.
It's Lacey, you've been sitting in that closet too long.
Yeah, Lacey records in a dark closet. Actually, at a funeral home. She actually broadcasts right after a funeral home. So.
Yeah, we're hosting Chewie's funeral right now, so gotta be quiet.
You're gonna exhaust that bit as long as you possibly can,
because you get just as angry as the first time I brought it up.
Yeah. Kylo's gonna die. That's the truth. So, James, your question: what is the longest I would want him to take a hiatus? I would say 6 years.
1 year longer than your proposed.
Yeah, so one span from a Summer Olympic to the next Summer Olympics to the next Winter Olympics after that. A nice 6 year chunk of time, a term and a half of a presidency. Just trying to put it in perspective here.
Yeah, but all that's so random.
I know, but people like to put things into perspective. Yeah, I think 6 years would be good. My only concern about this and why I would support this and why the Force is with me on the idea of this is if we don't, then we're never going to have that revival, it's back feeling ever again. If it's just, oh, it's December, what Star Wars movie is out this year? I guess I'll go see this one. Okay. Oh, it's next December. I guess another Star Wars movie. And it's just on and on and on. It loses the special feeling about it. Like when it returned with the prequels, we all lost our mind. When it returned with The Force Awakens, the world went bananas. It's just absolutely crazy. I don't know if we're ever going to get that feeling again unless there is some sort of dormant hiatus where people think it may not come back in a certain way, and then it does in a big way.
Nah, dog. Not going to happen.
No Dameron?
I think
no Dameron.
And I hate to go back to Marvel, but they just are making so many movies that so many people are paying for.
And
you
TV
don't hate
shows.
to go back to Marvel. You do not hate to go back to Marvel.
Well, I know that it's always going to be like we're not a Marvel podcast, so. But my thing is that they put movie out after movie after movie after movie, and at the end of the day,
this year we had Thor. Then we had Black Panther. Then we had Avengers.
And that's my point, is that when Avengers came out, it was like, that was cool. Like, Thor, that was fun, but it wasn't like Thor's back.
Right,
and we
got the Avengers
Black Panther
are like their saga films.
It was great, and it was like that, but it was good. It was new. But when Avengers came, it was the event. It was about going to see that movie, the conclusion of this story, or it's not even the conclusion, it's the third movie, but it's like the big movie that we're all leading up to.
It doesn't sniff the speciality and the specialness that surrounds Star Wars, and it never will. It's a big, giant juggernaut blockbuster that makes a lot of money.
Star Wars is better than Marvel. We're not arguing that.
It's hard.
I know, but I think James is trying to say like, that's their event and it still worked and they still were able to churn out movies. But like the Avengers is a good popcorn blockbuster kick-ass movie, but a Star Wars saga film I think carries, and I'm obviously biased, but it carries way more weight to it than an Avengers movie. Like Avengers Age of Ultron, that movie stunk. Like, sorry.
Well, I don't think that that's necessarily
James Spader,
true.
Get out of my dojo.
Like I know that Force Awakens coming back made a ton of money, but so did Titanic. And that it wasn't about like Titanic's back.
So did Avatar.
Yeah, exactly.
Where are those
it wasn't
movies?
Well, but both of those movies were the first movies. So I don't necessarily think that it has to be about that this franchise is back in order for people to like really be into it and really be excited for it and go see it. And I think that though Avengers didn't make as much money as Force Awakens, I actually don't know the numbers, but it probably made pretty close to or around what like Last Jedi and like Episode 9 and are probably going to do. So, I mean, that's a big moneymaker on a franchise that isn't waiting 5 years, 10 years for their spans.
I just hate, I hate the comic book to Star Wars comparison because comic books are made just like comic books are. You can keep killing your heroes and bringing them back and rebooting them. And this guy died. Oh, we're going to bring it back here. It's all bullshit. It's wonderful and I love it and it's fun, but it's all bullshit. I just don't. I hate the comp to Star Wars from comic books. You know that.
Yes. So then I guess the Force is with John, the Force is not with me, and the Force is not with Lacey, right? On this topic. We say...
I lose.
You
John
only lose
wrong
because
again.
you have to wait 5 years, John. 6 years if you had it your way.
Yeah, John, now you can't see it for 6 years.
You guys get to watch it, and I have to wait 6 years.
Tell us how much better it was.
Can you guys invent carbonite and just freeze me for 6 years and put me on the wall? And just
No, you'd miss your son growing up.
That's true. Yeah.
Wow.
Can you freeze him too? And then him and I will come.
Lacey's job tonight is just to make things too real.
Okay, sorry.
We're all going to die.
And now our next segment on the podcast, which we're debuting tonight, Morbid Thoughts with Lacey Gillerin. Take it away, Lacey.
Crossfire.
Taxes, death, more death.
All right,
Back
well,
to
that's
you, John.
That's it for Is the Force With You, so back to you, John.
Obi-Wan once thought as you do.
All right. So that little appetizer there, Is the Force is with you. Is the Force with you is back. It was fun. We hope you guys liked our new little take on it. It's abridged, but it was extended by over one category as opposed to multiple. So very cool. Thank you, James. Our main discussion this week is about Obi-Wan Kenobi, the future, possibly immediate future of Obi-Wan Kenobi. So let's set the tone here. In 1977, the first character we meet to introduce us into the mystical galaxy binding Force was an old wizard named Obi-Wan Kenobi. From there, the Star Wars saga took off, with Kenobi handing off the baton as the galaxy's last Jedi to Luke Skywalker, spiritually guiding him through his final journey, defeating the Empire. Lucas then took us back to show us a young Obi-Wan becoming a Jedi, a master, a failed master, and gave the character much more depth of origin and character development to let us learn how he ended up that old desert planet-dwelling hermit in the original film. Kenobi surfaced, however briefly, once again in Rey's Force vision in The Force Awakens, ending Rey's vision by saying, "Rey, these are your first steps." A merged audio clip by Alec Guinness and Ewan McGregor. Mm-hmm. So what is next for Kenobi? He has been seemingly hovering over the sequel trilogy, albeit ever so slightly. Will Kenobi make an appearance in Episode 9? Or was McGregor Guinness's voiceover in The Force Awakens simply just a nod, Easter egg? Should Kenobi return? Will Kenobi return? How will the final installment in the Skywalker saga reference or treat its longest tenured Jedi who has been a part of it since the first episode? Lacey, James, what do you guys think?
I think that Kenobi is still not going to be in Episode 9. But as much as I have talked out about him getting his own movie, I think that seems more likely than putting him in Episode 9.
Is that it? That's your whole answer?
No, I mean, like, we can talk about it more, but, I mean, I don't...
Oh, because usually you have this whole explanation. I'm kind of caught off guard. All right. So that wasn't a dig. I'm just like, I genuinely wait for all his points. And then I frame my argument around his points. But now that he has no points, I'm kind of going with this one. Okay. So first of all, Kenobi's the best. Second of all, he will be in 9. Third, I hope that he is somehow going to help, or we hear him, or we see him. It would be amazing. What's next for him? So this would be third. Third, what's next for him would be, I think, a movie. I think we're going to get an announcement at Celebration about this movie. Mm-hmm. I think Ewan McGregor's been growing out his beard and hair, as you've seen him in Christopher Robin press stuff over the summer. Nobody keeps hair like that watch. Unless they're, like, hinting at stuff. I feel like that's his, like, hint to fans. Like, he's like, guys, look at my hair.
No.
Look at my hair. I can't say anything, but look at it. Look how beautiful my Obi-Wan haircut is. But yeah, I think it would be so awesome. And I love Ewan McGregor so much. I think he's wonderful. And then, like, going back to the Solo premiere, he showed up. Why was he there? Unless they were doing a Solo movie, or not a Solo movie, a Kenobi movie. And he was very, like, cryptic because he just walked through the red carpet and didn't say anything to anybody, but it was just posing for pictures. Like,
That's
why would you go to that movie unless you were like, yes, what's my next step here?
Mm-hmm. Because when I think back on it, I don't know if you guys listening know, I was at the premiere for The Last Jedi. I don't know if you guys do that. Frank Oz was there, and everyone's like, "What's he doing back here?" And then boom, he's in The Last Jedi. Donald Faison was there. Jon Favreau was there. And you start saying like, and then it comes out that Favreau's doing the TV series, Faison's in the animated series. So, I mean, it is possible that McGregor's back there because he is still connected. So I think that is a great point.
Because I don't think he was at the Force Awakens premiere, and he was in the movie.
I don't think he was either. And you know what's funny? I just read recently, and maybe this was common knowledge, I guess him and Ray Park were sitting next to each other in the Solo premiere. So you had Maul and Kenobi sitting next to each other.
That is so funny. Yeah. And did he just kind of jab him in the, like with an elbow, being like, "Hey, remember that time I murdered you?"
Yeah.
Yeah, he apparently got really excited when Maul came on screen. He didn't know that was going to happen, and he was just like grabbing his arm and shaking it, and he's like, "Yes, yes, yes." And Ray Park said something along the lines of like, "Oh yeah, I'm glad you're happy, but I kind of want to see my performance."
Do you know what'd be funny? Like Ray Park seems like he's not exactly a sealed vault kind of guy. He likes to drop hints sometimes. Mm-hmm. So imagine they're watching it, and he's like, Ewan, watch this scene coming up.
Yeah,
watch this scene coming up. Make sure you're watching this scene. Don't go to the bathroom.
Right.
It's the mall
Ewan's
scene.
about
He's
to
like,
get
"That's
up.
me."
He's like, no.
Yeah.
He's like, "That's me. That's me right there. That's me."
I hear the whole like he's at the Solo and why would he be there? And there's all good examples, but aren't there plenty of examples of people that are there that don't have anything to do with the film or never have anything to do with Star Wars? And then
this is
Obi-Wan
different
Kenobi
though, James.
is also,
like this is different. This was like literally
it's
the
different
week
if you
they were
want it
rumored
to be
to be doing an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie. He shows up at the Solo premiere.
The week they were rumored to do an Obi-Wan Kenobi?
Yeah, remember that big story broke and they were like, "Oh, it's definitely happening. Oh, it's going to be happening." And then the Solo premiere happened and then it was like, "No, it's not happening anymore." But like that was the thing everybody was talking about. And when they announced he was going to the premiere, because they announced it, because originally he was going to be on the live stream.
Yeah, it is a little weird that he was silent and did a beeline through the red carpet.
He walked very quickly too.
Especially because he's very, from what I've seen and understood, he's very approachable and jovial and easy to talk to.
He's probably the Tom Holland of Star Wars. Like, they're too afraid he's going to spoil something.
All right. So my take on this whole thing, and I didn't really think this before, but now I am leaning towards, we will see an Obi-Wan Kenobi in Episode 9. I'm seriously leaning towards a type of Tarkin-esque CGI. It looks like Alec Guinness, but they're going to use Ewan McGregor to capture the motion and the mannerisms, the facial expressions, and the voice for Obi-Wan Kenobi. So they, just like they did in The Force Awakens, where they used a clip of Alec Guinness saying "afraid," they extracted the Rey from that and had Ewan McGregor say, "These are your first steps," and put that together. They're going to do that in a physical manifestation with both of them for Episode 9.
We have a moment of silence for me thinking that Rey was Kenobi's granddaughter for like ever, from Force Awakens to Last Jedi.
Oh, that's a lot of people did. I mean,
and it wasn't just like I thought it. I really wanted it to be true.
Hey, that's all right. Watch, they do that now.
Yeah.
Just blow
Bob
the whole thing
calls me
open.
after this call. He calls me, he's like, "Lacey, stop talking." I'm sorry, Bob. I'm sorry.
Lacey, it's Bob Iger. Shut your mouth.
Stop coming up with these crazy theories that are absolutely correct.
Accurate.
Buy me an Italian combo and stop talking. So, like, everyone keeps saying Anakin, Episode 9. I need Anakin. I need Hayden, love Hayden. Got to see Hayden. I'm thinking, give me Kenobi instead. It makes way more sense because he trained Luke. Luke trained Rey. Anakin's story's done. Kenobi's story was done, but he kept coming because he was the mentor. That makes way more sense to me. Yeah,
I've always said that. He
also,
sucks.
when you think about that Force vision in The Force Awakens,
it's so Obi-Wan.
Every audio clip from that Force vision was from an old quote from the original trilogy, except the added brand new quote from Obi-Wan saying, "These are your first steps."
That they brought Ewan in to do. That's a big deal. They brought him in to record it.
That is not a mistake. That is a deliberate, like, we need this line and it has to be Obi-Wan Kenobi. Say what you will, there's a reason why he did that. And every other line, Yoda, the Vader breathing, Luke screaming, was all old stuff from Empire, New Hope, and Return of the Jedi. There's really something to that to me, and that's another reason why it's like, what's going on here? So I think we are going to get Obi-Wan in 9, and I think, and that's my point. I don't know. James is about to say, "I hear you," but
My thing, I just don't think so. I think people are latching on to this character that doesn't have a story in between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. There's nothing going on there. And they really want him because they like Ewan McGregor. The prequels weren't that great. I'm quoting them. But Ewan, yeah, he was great. So maybe we could, give him a proper movie or a proper time to shine in this new resurgence of all the Star Wars movies. We have this perfect actor that we all want, and they just need to do that. But it doesn't make any sense. And I don't understand you're saying you want him in episode 9 or it makes more sense than Hayden, but there's a direct connection between Hayden and his son. There's no connection between Kenobi and Rey. Honestly, I get it.
Or is there?
Wait a minute. I just said that there was.
But
there's proof in The Force Awakens that there is.
I get that he's there, but that is one of those things to me that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense that Obi-Wan's voice is there.
Yeah, but James, whether it makes sense to you or not, it happened.
I know.
Obi-Wan Kenobi said,
What if?
Rey,
and
these
that's
are
one
your
of the
first
things
steps.
that doesn't make sense. And I think in the story, JJ, I get why he did it, because it's it's the Force and it's mystical and Obi-Wan Kenobi, because everybody loves Obi-Wan Kenobi. But as a canon reader, as a person who's following the story, as a person who's trying to pinpoint motivations and character development and stuff like that, it doesn't make sense to me that Obi-Wan is there. And I think that was kind of like a mistake in Force Awakens to have done that.
Can I ask you this then?
He has
to
no
clarify?
reason to work with Rey.
Can I ask you this to clarify your point? Do you think it was coincidental and you just don't like it? Or do you think JJ, intentionally did it and you don't like it? Because he could have easily used Alec Guinness saying, "The Force will be with you always," from A New Hope, just like he did with all the other characters.
He could have used Yoda's voice. He could have had Luke say it. He could have had so many other people say this.
He did have Yoda in that Force vision.
Yeah. But remember, all those things were not directed at Rey. So all of those statements are just in the past. It's like the world between worlds. There's things happening, but they're not necessarily directed.
So to my point, do you think he purposely did that to have that presence there for Rey? Yes or no?
Because what you just said, James, then the last line is directed at Rey.
Is directed at Rey. I understand. And that's why I'm saying, I think that's a mistake. They shouldn't have done that. Now, I do think that JJ is probably doing it on purpose. Wouldn't it be cool if Obi-Wan... I mean, it would also be cool if, I don't know, Qui-Gon Jinn or Mace Windu or something like that also had something nice to say. But it doesn't make sense.
Something nice to say. Rey... We like your boots.
He did. No, I mean, he said hey, these are your first steps. I mean, if I was meeting a celebrity and I looked up to him or something and he'd be like, yeah, this is great. I really like your work.
She doesn't know who Obi-Wan is.
That's my point. There's no connection there. So to have Obi-Wan come in and say, Rey, these are your first steps. It's it doesn't hold any weight for me. So
but to be clear,
for him to show up later
doesn't
make sense.
You just don't like it.
But for Hayden Christensen or Anakin Skywalker to show up to Kylo, that makes a lot of sense, because he definitely wants to meet or know about that person. He's
even though he never where was he the last 10 years that he's been like this or whatever, how come he didn't show up before when he was talking to that helmet?
No, I understand that too. This goes to the broader problem of my I don't like the Force Ghost thing, but my point is that if you're going to put someone between the Kenobi and the Hayden Christensen thing, I think that the Hayden one makes more sense than Kenobi. That would be forced. They'd be like, why is this person even here? They don't have any relevance to the story other than a friend of a friend.
So James, we know you don't want Kenobi to appear in episode 9. Do you think he will have any presence? Do you think it will happen in any way?
No.
Not even a voiceover, anything?
No.
Okay, so he just appeared and said something to her in The Force Awakens, and then he's like, I'm back out of here, I'm tagging out.
Look, I think that there's a certain movie that they could do that I would be okay with, and I'd be like, oh, that's cool or whatever. Obviously, I don't have problems with Force Awakens because his voice was in there. I'm still like, okay, whatever, it's in there. But I think that if I was given the choice, I would say, I don't think Kenobi has anything to do with this story, so it doesn't make sense to have him in there. It makes more sense to me.
That's not true, because he's the one that set off everybody on this course.
But then everything after for forever is because of Kenobi. That doesn't make any sense. Yoda has
it doesn't.
more.
It totally makes sense because he's the one that protected Luke, sent Luke away when Vader was about to attack them. He got them out of there. He did all those things to send Luke on his trajectory. He could have easily have said, "Your dad's no one. Peace out, homie. I'm going back to my cave. You go back to your moisture farm. Bye."
Look, Kenobi definitely has relevance to Luke. So if they at the end of the movie, if they want to show 3 Force Ghosts standing there and it's him, it's Mark Hamill and Ewan McGregor, then maybe. Because they're together, and as a fan, she might be like, "Well, I don't know who that guy is," but but as a fan, we watch it and we go, "Oh, that's cool. He's with Obi-Wan again. They're reunited. That's neat. That's cool," or whatever.
James,
but it's there's no reason for him really to be there,
right? But Obi-Wan failed Anakin, which then he also failed Luke, which then caused Luke to fail Kylo. Like, there's a whole failure.
Yeah, but that's friend of a friend of a friend. Like, the only reason I broke up with that girl is because John ate my sandwich, and then Billy, you know what I mean? It's like this ongoing thing. Like, you can trace it. I would never
eat your sandwich. You have horrible taste in food.
You can trace it back to this person. Like, John Manson, he's the master of this person. So then, well, who was the master of Obi-Wan? Who was the master of that master? Who was the master of that master? Why aren't they showing up? Yeah, but nobody
had the direct impact on
Qui-Gon
Anakin
Jinn,
and Luke like Obi-Wan did.
And then
Dooku.
Dooku, yeah. So, I mean, but it's like, then why isn't Dooku showing up? Why isn't Yoda showing up again? Because he trained Dooku, and then Dooku was trained, but
Sith can't be Force Ghosts, bro.
Oh my gosh!
Right,
you guys
but
are missing
Luke only
my
went
point,
to
though.
Dagobah because Obi-Wan told him to go to Dagobah.
You're saying that he's relevant to the story because he trained a person who is relevant to the story, and I'm saying that's far enough out.
He provided all this information to Luke, but then also before Luke, he's the one that potentially helped train Anakin, and
that's
then
loose.
Like somehow played a part in his downfall, which then resulted in the life that Luke and Leia had
and
after
all
the
of
fact,
those things
which
are
then
directly
affected
related
the way that Kylo lived.
To Luke, they're directly related to Anakin. Those people are not. That doesn't mean Kenobi is directly related to Kylo. But he would have showed up already. It doesn't mean he's directly related to Rey. Like, but Luke showing up to Kylo or Rey makes sense. Or Vader
James,
showing up to Kylo makes sense. Not to Rey. That doesn't make any sense.
Yoda confirmed that Qui-Gon was going to be able to contact Obi-Wan. So he was kind of in his spiritual form guide Obi-Wan to train, Luke. Kind of, this is how you become a master. Yeah. This is how you do that.
And Kylo is named after Kenobi.
That too, but you have 3 steps here. You have 3 lineages here too. So you have master to his apprentice to his apprentice. So you can make that connection: Kenobi to Luke to Ben. Again, you have Kenobi.
So yeah, Kylo didn't know Kenobi, but he's named after this dude. That's a prime example why he could show up in this movie.
Yeah,
I'm just going to say, you guys are nuts. Like, but that to me is 100%.
You say that all the time, and then it winds up being accurate. So I mean. It's like you guys you were like that's such you were like coaxium, coaxium my butt. There's not gonna be any coaxium in Solo. That's not gonna be the MacGuffin in the movie.
Well, you know who is gonna show up in Episode 9? Kira. Because it literally makes perfect sense. They brought her back. They made her this character, and
just being
she's
funny,
the
even though
one.
He pronounced it wrong.
She's the one that led Han on the path, which led him then to the rebels, who then helped Luke, which is relevant to Rey. Like,
well, James,
there's
she's
a connection.
Actually Rey's mom.
You can make a connection, but it doesn't mean that Kira has anything to do with Rey.
All joking aside, it comes down to the filmmaker here. Okay, and all bantering and debating aside here, if it was Colin Trevorrow or Rian Johnson making episode 9, I would say no. But the fact that it's JJ coming back and that was his insertion into that movie and his purposeful placement of that in that Force vision.
Kasdan wrote that in there, who wrote the original trilogy, who created Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Kasdan wrote that in there. You don't necessarily know that wasn't something that's like, we're going to hear the voices of multiple people from the times past, and then they happen to grab him, they happen to do a line. I mean, I don't think his whole thing was like, he wasn't writing and he goes, now this is very important. We need to have this line that's directed at Rey, that's these
James,
words.
I remember JJ talking about this, saying, is there any way we could find Alec Guinness saying that name? Yeah. And they were able to capture it, him saying, don't be afraid to R2-D2.
100%. I think it's because he just thinks that would be cool. Like, I think he thinks that Obi-Wan is part of the Force.
Let me finish my point.
It's a Force moment.
Let me finish my point.
All right.
Okay. Just because it happens to be JJ and he's rounding this thing out, I give it credence that it could happen. Like I said, if it was any other movie maker or writer or director, if it was still Trevorrow, I would have punted it. But that is coming back to JJ. And plus, I've heard that this movie is going to be loaded with fan service, which makes me a little nervous that we are going to see Anakin, but I hope not. I think that adds more weight to the possibility that Kenobi shows up. Again, you have this guy who's been in this saga from episode 1, and you're not going to have him grace over the final episode at all? I can't even wrap my head around that. Can't wrap my head around that. But I'm a bookend guy, James. You know that. I'm a big bookend guy. He had
relevance in Return of the Jedi, though.
He has relevance in the whole saga, my man.
He has relevance. Kylo Ren is named after Ben Kenobi. If that isn't relevance, then I don't know what is. They called him the only hope for all of Last Jedi. Rey kept calling him Hope.
I don't understand.
They wouldn't have named him Ben if it didn't matter.
He doesn't have a personal connection. Let's put it that way. That's like payoff.
But Leia and Han
set up and payoff in narrative. It doesn't make any sense. Kenobi's not part of this story. He was part of the story, but now he's not. I don't
James, I guarantee Han and Leia told little Ben stories about Ben Kenobi.
You could also say Darth Vader has no tie into the story either directly, just aside from being the kid's grandfather. So and people are pushing him in this thing too. So
but
you
they've
can look at it from both
Vader,
sides there.
And the backstory of one of the main characters of this sequel trilogy is that he longed to be Darth Vader and he was obsessed with him.
Right, and that's fine.
But
and I'm connecting.
There's no connection to Kenobi.
I'm connecting Kenobi to Rey here, and you keep missing that point. We keep going back to well, what does that do with yes, he has connection to Ben via lineage and respect to Ben Kenobi. That's why we named him Ben. But that whole thing of him talking to Rey and then putting that line in is going to prove important, and you'll find out when we see episode 9.
Also, remember the big thing when Force Awakens came out was that she was British and everybody else was American. And they were like, well, Obi-Wan's British, so what does that mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I still think, guys, and I'm gonna
get still holding on.
This.
I'm
still holding on that she's somehow related to Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh!
Let go!
Oh! Hot take, it's back! 2015
So here's my thing,
back.
is I truly believe that she thinks her parents were nobodies. And that Kylo Ren saw what she saw, and he thinks her parents are nobodies. But we know from, the magic of movie making that they could easily turn this into her real parents were in trouble and they handed the baby off to random people.
Obi-Wan had a kid and the kid wound up being an alcoholic and did sell Rey for drinking money.
I'm just saying there's multiple ways you could work around this. So this is my fan servicey thing. I really want her to be related to Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yeah, I really do.
Rey's parents still could have been... Yeah. They could be dead and they could have sold her off for drinking money. She still could be related to Kenobi.
Yes.
So that's what John's saying.
I just think it would be such a good way to end this series. You have, basically Anakin and Obi-Wan back together again down the line.
Here's what I'll say. If they were to do something like that and they were to bring him in and make him relevant in this movie and they really wanted to do that, then I would look back at Force Awakens and be like, glad they put that in there.
And
right.
you will.
Right. Yeah.
You're saying I will, but I'm saying I don't think that he has any relevance to the story. So why would they pursue
James,
that?
Let's each
Greedo doesn't have any relevance to the story, but if they really
stop it.
I'm just saying
stop it.
If they wanted to make him relevant to the story,
Greedo, sometimes your analogies are whack, man.
They're supposed to be whack. They're supposed to be the
Kenobi.
extreme so that you understand my point.
No, they're supposed to relate. They're supposed to be comparable.
They are comparable. A character
Like
who doesn't have relevance to the story.
The Gonk droid wasn't in episode 8, so then Obi-Wan Kenobi, get out of town, man. You're a banana.
He's just you're a banana.
Why don't we each give our final thoughts so that everyone understands exactly what we're saying, and then...
The best thing is when episode 9 comes around and everything I've been saying is right, and you're both are going to be like, I quit the podcast. Lacey's been right about everything. How did this happen?
Well, let's put it this way: the episode 9, whatever it's going to be called, challenge that we do is going to be fire, because that thing is going to be crazy.
Yeah,
it's going to be Star Wars Episode 9, Crossfire.
Crossfire, get caught up in the rumors.
I want to ask this though.
No, it's going to be Star Wars: Kenobi's Crossfire.
Celebration comes and goes. There was no Kenobi announcement, and episode 9 comes out, and there was nothing Kenobi related. Where do you guys stand then? Are you still holding out then?
Celebration, they wouldn't have made an announcement about Obi because they had Solo coming out, and as a marketing professional,
I'm saying
you don't want something...
Lacey, in the future.
The next Celebration.
Yeah.
When we go to
I was going to say, you don't want something to overshadow it, and it would have.
They are announcing a Kenobi movie at Celebration. That's
they are 100%.
I'm guaranteeing that.
Okay.
So
Sure.
can we do our final thoughts so that everyone understands exactly where each of us are on this?
Well, that's what I was trying to figure out where you were, but all right, that's fine.
Okay, I'll do mine first because I know James is all fired up and whatnot here. So I'll just say this: I think Obi-Wan is going to be involved in Episode 9 somehow. I'm leaning towards a CGI manifestation that continuity-wise represents the Alec Guinness look in a Force Ghost manner. They're going to involve Ewan McGregor to motion capture that, use his voice, and at the very least, he'll do a voiceover or something to tie into the deliberate insert of that line in the Force Vision. The only unique dialogue in that Force Vision to Rey was, "Rey, these are your first steps," with Ewan McGregor and Alec Guinness. If it was any other director, Trevorrow was still doing it, or whoever, Rian Johnson, I would have punted on the idea, but I think JJ's coming full circle. I heard this movie's going to be loaded with fan service, and it makes too much sense to have Kenobi involved when he's the one Jedi who's been in here since episode 1 till the end. So that's my take. I think we're going to get that, and then that's why we're going to get that Kenobi announcement at Celebration, because the Kenobi movie is going to come after his appearance in episode 9.
Go ahead, James.
I mean, sure. I really strongly, and I don't know how I don't hate Kenobi. I'm just saying that he doesn't have a place in the sequel trilogy. I think his biggest story
You don't have a place in the sequel trilogy, James.
His place was his character arc was in the prequels. And if we would have got the prequels first, and then we would have got this, the original trilogy second, then you would have had a character who was doing like what Mark Hamill is. He's not necessarily like the main point of that trilogy. He's just there to kind of help the new main characters along. It's not the focus. And then now that we're in the actual true sequel trilogy, Obi-Wan is done. His story has been told. The characters that he helped grow are now grown. So it's those people who are now helping. So we even have like Luke Skywalker.
But did he help
dead.
though? But did Luke help?
You're saying that Luke didn't help Rey along any sort of path?
No, he didn't. He failed.
Final thoughts?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think you're taking my term help too positively. I'm saying he helped. He's part of the story of where she ends up. But anyway, I just really don't think that Kenobi has any place unless they want to revisit him in some way, shape, or form, but I still say that there's the prime time for his character is during a time where in canon nothing was going on. And I understand people could say, but you could write something, but we've for years and years and years always thought that Kenobi, that nothing was happening. We would be forcing it. We'd be changing the idea, the concept in order to make that story happen. Anyway.
All right.
Yeah.
Lacey, your final thoughts on this Kenobi potentially in 9, maybe not in 9 situation?
So, James, I'm curious, how does it feel like the 30% in the polls on Monday to be so wrong? Does it hurt? Are you indifferent?
I'm not wrong yet.
I'm just kidding.
He's right. He's not, that's right. Yeah.
I'm just joking around. People are going to listen to this and be like, "You're so mean." I'm just kidding. I'm just joking around.
People are going to get on me.
I'm writing a letter. I'm going to write a letter.
People aren't going to get mad at you, Lacey. They're going to get mad at me.
I just want people to know I'm kidding with you. I have a very sarcastic sense of humor.
Why do you hate Kenobi?
I don't
No, me. That's what they're going to say to me.
James. I don't hate you. Okay, so Obi-Wan Kenobi is the best person ever. He will be in 9. I think going a little off of what James said, because he makes really good points, because he's a good person and I like him. I think Obi-Wan is needed in 9 because Luke failed to do what he needed to do to show Rey what she needed. And I know before in previous conversations I've said, Rey doesn't need Luke. She doesn't need help. But even the toughest person might need a push in the right direction. And if she feels that Luke didn't give her that, then maybe Obi-Wan is the one to make that happen. Because we have to go back to that book for The Force Awakens where in her Force back, she hears someone talk to her and she knows the voice, but she doesn't know who it is. We still don't know who that person is, guys. That's never been answered. I mean, it's kind of like a lost scenario with Force Awakens. There's all these questions that...
Hold on, was that one of the Journey to the Force Awakens books?
No, it's the novelization for The Force Awakens.
Oh,
She's running through the woods, and someone says something along the lines of, "Sweetheart, I'll be back, I promise." And she is yelling out into the darkness like, "Please come back, I'm right here, I'm back." And then they never figure out who it is. They never answer that question. Go look it up. Never happened. Yeah. So I could see that, it could maybe be Kenobi saying that. It could not. I know people have some other theories that I'm not going to get into, but I just think that he does have a place in this trilogy. I mean, you have the main villain is named after this guy who's like the ultimate Jedi, right? Mm-hmm. The good guy that fought Vader to help others, that sacrificed for the greater good. You can't have a character like that and then have a villain named after that and then not have that person appear at all in the movies. And those are my final thoughts. Back to you, John.
All right, so that got a little Star Wars warsy a little bit.
It did.
But we kept it. Yeah, we kept the coaxium from blowing up, blowing us out of the Kessel Run. But let us know what you guys think. Did you align with either one of us on our thoughts about the potential for Kenobi in Episode 9? Will he show up? Should he show up? If so, how will he show up?
James is shaking his head. I hope everybody knows that's listening. James is sitting here going, nope.
Because it's crazy talk.
Will that line from The Force Awakens just have been a little Easter egg, a little nod, a little tribute, or will it mean something? We will see, folks. So if let us know.
Is Ewan McGregor playing us all and JJ playing us all?
Is John going to finish the outro to this discussion? Tune in next week when he's still doing it.
Involved.
No, I'm just kidding. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. Give us your thoughts if you have anything different or if you agree with us, and or if we're crazy, let us know that too. But we hope you enjoyed it either way. And now for the fun stuff, which is your tweets. One of my favorite segments because Lacey purposely never reads these ahead of time that she can get her chuckles in. So I think this week is going to be a really good one. So I'll let Lacey take us from this serious discussion about Obi-Wan Kenobi to your Resistance transmissions. What do we got, Lacey?
All right, guys, it's time for Resistance transmissions. This week, we asked you to give us an answer to a situation, if you will. Vader threatening to turn Leia to the dark side drew Luke out from hiding. If it was you hiding from Vader, what would Vader have to say to draw you out of hiding to attack him? Ooh, this is a good one. Who came up with this?
My boy,
Way
John.
to go, John. This is a good one. This could
Thanks.
get weird. Okay, so the first one is Scott Looney at A Scott Mess. That is an amazing Twitter handle. Oh my God. A Scott Mess. Hashtag A Scott Mess. That's my new hashtag. And he said, it's taco night. That's
funny?
it. That's all it takes. I mean, I had
he
tacos
hate
tonight, so I
tacos?
totally get it. But like,
I had tacos tonight too.
yes, high five through space and
Nice.
time. How about you,
Very
James?
I just want to know, does he hate tacos?
No,
he's saying
saying
that
the opposite.
that's what Vader has to say for him to come out
lure
of
him
hiding.
out.
I know.
It's
and
taco
then
night.
he'd be like, it's taco night. And he's like, no.
No. It's luring him out. So it's like, oh, he has tacos. I'm coming out of hiding.
All
Come
right.
on, James.
Well,
That's
these
the way
other
people are
ones
taking it. I
negative
understand
ones.
what James is saying. James
Yeah.
is saying like Vader said something like your mother sucks, and Luke was like, no.
Yeah.
These
All
people have taken it like.
All right.
I think there's
only
two ways
him.
people could take this, so we'll see which way they take it. Okay.
Yeah.
The next one is James Otron at James Marsh 83. James,
You're
is this
welcome.
another one of your handles?
Yes.
And Vader said, "What's wrong, McFly? Chicken?" See, this is the way James just said.
Well, they're all like how I said. That's the only one that seems a little weird. The first one.
Yeah.
But what's wrong with fly chicken? Like, I love that. I love Back to the Future so much.
Yeah. So that'd be
Wait,
like Vader's
unless-
like Biff.
Unless the Scott Mess hates taco night.
That's what I said.
I
Does
no,
he
I don't
hate
think so.
tacos?
I think he was
Which,
saying
first of all, maybe you are a Scott Mess if you hate taco night because
yeah.
no one hates taco
I
night.
think Scott was having some fun and put a little twist on it, saying like, "What could Vader bait me out with?"
Like,
and be
ooh,
like,
that sounds cool. It's taco night. And then he gets his head cut
right,
off.
but the line,
Yeah, I
but-
forget I'm gonna get my head cut off right now, but I really want that Crunchwrap Supreme, so it's worth
Yeah.
a shot.
Crunchwrap Supremes are my favorite.
Mexican
all right.
pizza.
Now I want tacos again. Okay. The next one is Hail Kaiba at Hail Kaiba.
Hey, ding ding.
Hail Kaiba.
Way to get
He's
the
going to be
handle.
like, that's not how you say it. And he or she said, Knights of the Old Republic isn't canon. Oh, no.
Come to think of it, this
not
would
Darth
just be
Revan.
a great meme. Like,
Bastilla Shan, no.
like just take the panels, like 3 panels, and then just have people like literally write the words over the pictures. And so he's like, no, as he comes out.
And then all of a sudden, Benioff and Wise walk out. Not if we have anything to do about it.
Why do they sound like they're in a musical?
I don't know. I went with
a
that.
superhero musical.
Step aside, citizen. KOTOR is canon.
Okay, next is Kawa Trooper 9 at Tabletop Tama. Wow, those are 2 different names. And they said, want to know the title of episode 9? Never!
I guess this one's kind of borderline, like coax him out. Like, what?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Unless they don't want to be
Yeah.
surprised like John and they don't want to know anything.
That's true.
I
That
want to know
one
the
could go
title.
both ways.
Yeah. I wanna
So
know the
Kawa
title.
Trooper might just be like, don't tell me anything.
Yeah,
Ah.
if somebody gave me the opportunity to learn the title, I'd be like, cool, I can learn it before everybody else. It's better than hearing it like secondhand on Twitter. Like, as I'm just scrolling
You're talking
through
to
it,
the
I'm
girl
like,
that read
oh,
the
look.
subtitles for Last Jedi on 4chan the night before she went to see the movie. So
I'll never understand that.
I don't know how to enjoy good things. I don't know how to.
This next one's just wrong.
Next is Tyler at Tyrannus Davis, and he says, pineapple tastes good on pizza. Oh my God, Tyler, how dare you? Pineapple is delicious on pizza. It's my favorite pizza.
It should be noted that he also included the image of Luke
Luke that
never.
says, never. Can I just say that pineapple pizza was also featured on a wonderful show called The Good Place as like the bad place? That's what they
Yeah.
serve as pineapple
But
pizza. And I
guys-
was like,
Yeah.
who wrote this
This
show?
this got away from us, just like everything does.
What? I'm still going. I haven't
It was-
stopped. I'm just
No.
like
No,
everyone
no.
seems to have
No,
this thing
Lacey.
against pizza.
Lacey, Lacey,
What?
the pizza thing got away from us. It
Oh,
was
it did.
Hawaiian pizza, guys. Ham and pineapple. I didn't say anything about just pineapple. Ham and pineapple. That's all. That was the thing.
Well, the one I get has ham, pineapple, and bacon.
Oh, God.
People don't
It's
have
delicious.
problems with the
It's all the
ham.
pig meats.
It's the pineapple part that they
No,
have
ham.
issues
No
with.
one wants ham. Oh,
You're
disgusting.
saying you don't like ham? You're saying
I don't
your
like
issue
ham.
with the Hawaiian thing is not the pineapple, it's the ham?
It's the whole damn combo.
Is it the pig meats?
Is it the cheese?
Well, I don't like. I'm not a
Is
big
it
ham
the
guy.
breading?
It's the
So it's
combo
the
of
pig
all of
meats.
it. It's ham, pineapple on a pizza. It's pretty easy, folks.
It's the pig-related things, like the ham and... I don't know how pineapple is related to pigs.
Anyway, our next
All right.
one is we have a couple more. So Paul Buckle at Buckle with a 1 for an L. Totally leet speak.
Buck one.
And Paul said, oh no, this is a long one. When you think about it, Indiana Jones' character was irrelevant to the outcome of Raiders of the Lost Ark. The Nazis would have still been defeated once the Ark was opened, even if he was there or not.
This is like... this is similar to probably
Close your eyes.
mine. Like, what would Vader have to say? He'd be like, Kenobi is relevant to episode 9. He'd be like, no!
That would be James. No, never.
and for me,
And then
Lacey
the evil
would be
emperor
like,
would just be sitting there going, yes, feel the hate flow through you.
Lacey and I are hiding out, and Vader's like, the comic books are just as important as the saga films.
Never.
You're freaking crazy!
All he'd have to say to John is, I just killed Chewie.
Yep.
No.
That'll do it. Absolutely.
All right, couple more. We have Villain at Scum and Villainy, and he said, Nickelback is the greatest rock band of all time. I can't even
God.
Yo, Nickelback is the worst.
Yeah. Well,
That might be one of my favorites of tonight.
I think Imagine Dragons is worse than Nickelback.
I love Imagine Dragons.
Oh, horrible.
The thunder and the lightning.
Oh, God.
Thunder.
Imagine
All right,
Dragons
anyway.
to me is very hit or miss, and that song in particular is terrible.
It is terrible.
I've been using Imagine Dragons as like, I don't know,
James,
my
what if
plot
what if
line and jokes,
the
punchline.
what if the lead singer of Imagine Dragons called you and said, "We want you to come on tour as our keyboardist"?
I'd probably do it.
What about Nickelback?
I would just hate that song. I'd be like, do you guys want to write another song where you pick two random items and you're like, it's a pencil and the paper and the paper and the pencil and the pencil paper. Like, what are you doing? The stupidest song ever.
Oh, mama.
Last one. We have Aurora at Grumpy Alila. Why are you so grumpy?
Aww.
And they said, if he said my full name, you know you're in trouble when someone says your full name.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
Which we don't know this person's full name.
Yeah, they
This
didn't
is
even
not
say
included.
it. Grumpy, why didn't you even
Right.
say the name? At least we could like know why you'd get crazy.
Unless,
Maybe she's grumpy because she couldn't get her handle.
unless Grumpy is her middle name and Aurea, I can't say her name, but that's her first name, and then Alila is
Auroria?
her last name.
So yeah. Thank you for your transmissions. If you want to be on the show, make sure to follow along on Twitter at RB@SWNN. And when we put up our hashtag resistance transmissions, give your best answer to the caption or scenario or weird thing that John puts up, and you could be on the show, and I'll read it without reading them in beforehand. Back to you, John.
Yeah, make them funny and creative because, as you saw, sometimes our discussions get a little tense and serious, and we like to get a little goofy to end these shows. Yeah,
With
thanks.
the
Those are fun.
And the pencil.
And the pencil and the paper.
If you guys have your pencil and paper,
paper.
Make sure you write down a reminder to subscribe to us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Visit our website, StarWarsNewsNet.com, for all of our latest news, interviews, editorials, information, and more. Head to our merch store, tpublic.com/user/resistance broadcast. Pick up our new Make Solo 2 Happen t-shirt or sticker, mug, whatever. I got my t-shirt. It's on the way right now. And keep putting that hashtag out there. Hashtag Make Solo 2 Happen. And hopefully they make Solo 2 happen, even though James doesn't want it to happen or doesn't think it'll happen.
Whoa. Oh, I don't think it'll happen.
Yeah.
I want it to happen.
All right, and you guys can also, as Lacey said, follow us on Twitter. Make sure you do, so you interact with us at RBATSWNN. And I think that's all of those types of plugs, so we will plug ourselves. I am John Hoey. You can follow me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey, and catch me over at StarWarsNewsNet.com, writing and editing every week. James Bainey, what about you?
Well, you can find me at my Trunks on Twitter and Instagram, but I'm sorry, guys. I can't get over. I keep thinking about John explaining how long of a period 6 years is. Like, it's high school, but then it's like you flunked 2 of the years. So it's like 6 years. Or it's like 3 years plus an additional 3 years. It's like that. Or it's like half a decade, but then also 1/5 of a decade.
James, can I give one more try?
It's the course of 3 2-year phone contracts. That's
James,
what it would
I'll give
be
one more
like.
try. One more try. It's like James Bainey trying to get his point across when we have discussions. That's how long it is.
Ooh.
It takes 6 years? Is that the joke?
I don't know. Lacey, where are you on social media?
Lacey, where are you on social media?
People can find me on Twitter at Lacey Gillerin, talking about Star Wars, probably talking about my soft boy Kylo Ren.
Mm-hmm.
Likely.
James and I are starting a new band called Belief Lizards.
Yeah.
It's a cover band.
Oh, I see what you did there. That's clever.
Yeah, that's it. John, you can join if you want. You can play the triangle.
Okay.
Ding.
I'll
Or
start
the
my
cowbell.
I'll start my own band called, like, Thinking Geckos.
You can grow your hair out again.
Yeah, I'll grow my hair out
Belief
again.
Lizards is pretty good.
I wonder if my long hair would look cool with some of the gray hairs I have. It'd be like White Zombie.
Yeah.
All right. If you guys are still listening, we will be back Monday with a fresh, brand new episode for you. With some news. We're going to talk about those solo bonus features, and obviously news probably drops tomorrow because Star Wars is pumping news out on Fridays for some psychotic reason because they like trolling us. So we'll hit you with some fresh news on Monday. So enjoy your weekends, and we'll see you next time right here on the Resistance broadcast. Crossfire! See you around, kids.